Welcome to Awaken the Minds. I'm Monica.
And I'm Mikhael. Together, we're your guides on this journey of exploration and awakening.
Here on Awaken the Minds, we dive deep into the mysteries of life and beyond, from spirituality and reincarnation
to marriage, personal growth, and the secrets of the universe. And yes, we'll even talk about aliens.
Because let's face it, the truth is out there, and so is the love and wisdom we all need to evolve. So whether you're seeking answers or just curious about the unseen forces shaping our reality,
you found your tribe and the vibes.
So let's awaken the minds together.
Hello, hello,
Hello.
What's up, yo? Let me get a little. What up, gangsters? What up? Today, guys.
Kira's like,
Today we got a special guest. His name is Simba.
it's not Simba.
Simba!
You should.
Simba! Simba!
You should have. You pointed to the other camera instead of pointing him to the front. Look, show him his pretty face. Go in the front. Go show them his pretty face. Look how cute he is. Show his face. Ay, qué guapo! He's like sick and tired of these parents. I don't know, man. I don't know why I did this. I don't know why I came here.
He's like camera shy.
All they do is just want to grab me. Clearly, I do not want to be grabbed. Owning a cat is actually really interesting. But we skipped the whole intro. So let's get to the intro.
Alrighty. You want to hold this little boy? Well. Welcome back, guys. Hope you guys liked that little intro. We presented to you guys Simba. But we hope everybody's having an amazing day. We hope, we hope to be able to continue to help and grow the consciousness of the world, of the people, to help us all continue growing, maturing, and finding peace and love in our hearts. And if you guys are new, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. That's where you'll be able to find all of our episodes, our shorts, and whatnot. So that's where you guys will be able to find that. And yeah, man. We just presented to you guys one of our pets out of the 20,000 pets we have.
But they say that pets are not children. That's a lie. Okay.
Big ass lie.
Yes. I gotta be screaming at them 24/7, yelling at them, telling them to stop fighting or leave each other alone. And then they're like super high maintenance, Whoever said that pets are not your children definitely have never owned a child. I mean, a pet, not a child. But yeah.
But yeah, guys, just kick things off. Once again, we hope everybody's having an amazing day. We hope to bring you guys information that can help elevate the human consciousness. And again, if you guys are new, welcome to Awaken the Minds. This is our podcast with me, Mikhael, and my wife, Monica.
Monica, Selene, Rio Nápoles, and then he's like, you're Japanese, we're married. But
Hey, fellas, when a woman gets married, she instantly takes your last name, right?
don't listen to him.
But let's kick things off. How are you, my love? How are you feeling?
I am amazing. Feeling well rested, but at the same time, I feel like we just have been very much out of our routine because we've just been so busy, honestly, And it's a good busy, We've been doing a lot of the stuff that we've honestly been wanting to do, and that's something that never goes unnoticed. Being able to kind of focus on our goals, on our achievements, and even though it can be a lot, because obviously we have our regular jobs and we have passions that we're currently trying to go after. But other than that, I think I've been great. And what about yourself?
That's just tell
Do I
you.
stress you out or something? Fuck.
Nah, it's been good. It's been good. Like you said, we've just been busy doing our thing, trying to put our flag on this thing,
What thing?
on this thing, everything right here.
I was gonna say bubble or something. I don't know.
We're
On
trying to
this universe, on this planet.
we're trying to stamp our name on this planet. But it's been good. It's been good. I feel good. Definitely we've been staying up late, getting up early,
Yeah.
staying up super late, like 5 in the morning, going to sleep, sleeping 4 hours, waking back up.
It's like they say, you want to become a business owner and you want to chase your dreams because you don't want to work for anybody. But the moment you start doing that is you're literally working practically 24/7. It's not bad because we do prioritize our sleep. We try to take naps here and there, and we do try to get full rest on whatever we need to do, because at the end of the day, we do see that if we don't get some type of rest, definitely does affect us. And we try to prioritize our sleep most of everything, but at the same time, we try to prioritize also our dreams and our achievements.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
how it is. But I guess let's kick things off, huh?
yeah.
All right. Well, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about how the environment can change our frequencies as well as our abilities for growth, right? And I guess we'll kick things off with, for you, now that you've been here in this state for quite a while, right? So you obviously know how everything in this state kind of works, how the flow of the energy here feels. Do you think your frequency and the capacity to expand would shift if you lived in a different environment, or that truly nourishes your soul, like to what it needs and whatnot?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I feel that I feel that Nevada, since we live in Nevada, Las Vegas to be exact, it's not quite what my frequency is currently at. I don't crave to go out every weekend to go get drinks or to go get and go to a club or be outside in them streets. Maybe when I was single, it was more of my frequency. You're trying to get to know people, you're trying to be out there, and you're trying to. But then you also realize that like if you want to find a husband, you don't find them there either. And
Yeah, she found me. She married now. She locked down.
married. No, so it's just, and even if I feel that I would have still been living here and I would have been single, it would have eventually never been aligned to my frequency that I'm looking for at the moment. And what I crave more is more green, more water, more land for our dogs, and eventually and horse and little goats. But it's just, I feel that my life will be just more fulfilled in an area where honestly I can just own a lot more animals and um eventually maybe start a family out there, but in another state. But right here it definitely doesn't vibrate the frequency of family. It's more of a very single state. So yeah, I mean, definitely if the current frequency would be different, I think I will be thriving way different. What about yourself?
Yeah, I believe that too. Like I said, Vegas is more of it's just always going, going, going. Definitely a lot of, how can I word this? A lot of lust and addiction is just, you know, blown up everywhere because that's pretty much what the city is about: money, gambling, drugs, alcohol. You know, obviously they have a bunch of strip clubs too, which I've only been to one. Didn't like it. Wasn't my scene.
Yeah,
Putting that
because
out
he's
there.
because he's married now. he taken. He married.
But yeah, most definitely. I believe if we were out more, for me specifically, if I was like more out of nature, more trees, more green, definitely water, a lot of water. Sometimes my lips be a little dry out here in this desert.
Boy.
But yeah, I think definitely being somewhere like that would help us, well, me specifically, flourish a lot more, because that's kind of what my soul, I don't know if I want to say requires, or it's just what helps me be at peace. You know what I mean?
Look at me in the eyes. You can even look at me in the eyes.
All right, check it out.
All right, so
But, hope you guys like our new scenery. Today we
Yeah.
are at the round table. As you guys can see, this beautiful art of me. Just
yeah,
kidding.
his big balls are not there though. But disclosure. Anyways, no, but we hope you guys really like the new setup. We've been upgrading a lot of our stuff. As we go, we've kind of been seeing that upgrades need to be done to be able to give you guys the best. And I feel that whenever there's better upgrades, better imagery, better way to be able to see our facial expressions, I feel that you guys might feel more like we're talking to you guys and not feeling like we're not, So definitely hope you guys like the upgrades we have been adding on to it. Other than that, I do have a question. When I told you to look at me in my beautiful brown caca eyes that are from Jalisco.
Let me show her my beautiful hazel eyes.
A ver.
All right, check it out.
No, but seriously, since we are someone whose spirit resonates deeply with water, do you feel that simply knowing that we have the space to spend a weekend by the water, hearing the waves, feeling the breeze, would naturally bring us back to a state of peace and inner clarity?
Mhm. Yeah, I believe so. I mean, for me, water's just always been calming, right? When we go to sleep, sometimes we're always putting either like sound waves or, you know, waterfall falling or something like that.
Yeah.
So anything mostly we would do for like meditation. Also, we kind of put like some water sounds. That just always helps me get mental clarity, helps me like kind of be at peace in a way. And, I believe anywhere with a lot of water where we can be able to hear the breeze, or even if it rains a lot, I think that would definitely help us bring a lot more peace and inner clarity.
What is it that what is it about hearing the waves and hearing water just in a rainy day? How does it feel? How does that make you feel more peaceful?
For me,
Like what goes through your brain? What molecules get activated?
honestly, for me, it's just like really relaxing. It's almost like a muscle relaxer, right? Like for me, it's just always been calming. Like for me, I'm a person who's always thinking a lot. My brain's just always, going 100 miles an hour, and just something about water just always, like the sounds of water, or just rain falling or something, just always kind of helps me, I guess, get grounded in a way.
Okay.
So like it really grounds me, kind of gives me that peace. No anxiety, no fear, none of that. Just calmness.
Kind of washes it away.
Yeah,
Mm.
almost like if it puts me like in this, meditative state of just calmness. But what about yourself? What?
Mm, for me, water is just a sense of cleansing, and I've always said that every time I go to any state that has water, I try to not steal, because it's not stealing. I ask Mother Earth, okay, guys. I'm like, I kind of like your water. Can I get some of your water? But I bring it back home, and it's always just so good for cleansing. I don't steal it, okay?
They steal you though. Or wrap your flip flops, wrap your
Oh, my
phone.
phone. Okay, so it was a story, guys. Okay, this is so out of what we were gonna talk about. But okay, so this one time we were walking by, where were we? San Diego?
I think in San Diego.
Yeah, we were in San Diego. And so we're having a good time. We're over here smoking some CBD for context, not saying you guys should do it. Just we like to do that to relax and just have a good time. And we're all just chilling in San Diego. And I'm over here trying to take a cute ass video of me running in the water. I leave my sandals far away from what I thought was the ocean. Clearly didn't leave them far enough. Fucking mermaids came out, fucking jacked my shit, took my phone, fell off my pocket. Had to buy a phone next day, but yeah, context. It was such funny because I was like, I got jacked. Had to literally by the mermaids, but anyways,
Literally got robbed in like 0.2 seconds.
Yeah.
Flip flops, freaking phone. I don't know what else you had in there.
Clearly I like the water, but the water doesn't like me. So no, but I think definitely, just having that, just literally closing your eyes and being able to hear those waves. Because I'm not very much of getting into the ocean either. I'm actually really terrified. I don't know what's beyond that. Especially right now with everything with the world and things coming up and the unknown coming out is something I'm not interested in really getting my ass dragged in there type of thing, but I definitely think that it just brings so much clarity to me. It just feels like the breeze that comes from the ocean definitely makes me feel at peace. It's like it whispers to you, and for example, I visited Colorado and I've visited Portland, and I fell completely in love with both of them. Portland, literally every 30 minutes from where you're at, there's waterfalls everywhere. And there's a lot of water. There's ocean 2 hours from the Oregon, Portland. 2 hours from there, you literally see the most beautiful beach. I am absolutely in love with it because I think, it wasn't even crowded. Dogs were playing in the beach. And that's something that I haven't seen not even in California. So I think one of my top ones would be Portland. Colorado is definitely more rivers, more lakes, but definitely a place where I wouldn't mind owning a land out there and kind of getting 20,000 animals and eventually start a family. I don't know, but yeah, I think definitely water is something that I can get used to on a weekend or even every day.
Mm-hmm. And out of those two, Portland and Colorado, which one would you like? I guess which one would you want to live in first, or would you like to live both? Have a home in both of those states? What would you like to do?
Pues si mi esposo me compra terrenos.
Mañana.
Oh,
Vamos.
vámonos. I mean, honestly, I would love to have properties in both. I would like, we talked about this, and um, honestly, I would love to have properties in both. But for Oregon to raise a family, it would have to be far away from the city because people are kind of awkward out there and kind of weird. Not trying to offend anybody. Like, it's just not what I would like my kids to be around when it comes to the city. It kind of reminds me a lot of Vegas, the city part. And then Colorado, the same thing. I would love to live there because there's just hikes on hikes, a lot of activities. And I feel like both of them are just beautiful to build a family in if we ever plan to really have kids. So I would love to own properties in both, but if I were to choose from one of them, depending if we have kids, if we don't have kids, maybe Portland, live next to the beach. And if we do have kids and eventually want to grow our family, definitely Colorado. So it depends how our life works out in the next few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. For me,
Wait, have you been to Colorado or Portland?
I've been to Colorado. I've been to Portland. I've been to Washington.
Okay, now you're just
I've been
showing
to
off.
North Dakota. Idaho, Nebraska. Well, not, I don't remember.
Nebraska.
I've been somewhere. I've been all over the damn place. But out of all those places, the ones that I really like the most that I visited, definitely Colorado, especially up at the top of the mountains.
Mhm.
Bro, it's so beautiful out there. People have like their own stream of rivers in their
In their
I don't know,
backyard.
backyard or whatever you want to call it. Part of their land just has a river flowing through it. So me, I'm more of an outdoors person. So like I'll definitely would like a stream of river flowing. I could be out fishing, something.
Yeah, porque
Porque tengo que dar de comer a mi esposa.
exactly. Exacto. Have you guys seen that video with the little kid?
Yeah.
Where he's like, aunque digan que soy, and then he goes, mujeriego. Exacto.
Sucio, compadre.
Exactamente. And then he goes, mami, no me dejes solo. And then he goes, porque hay un fiestonón. Dude, I was cracking up. Okay, anyways. Squirrel. It was so funny. It just reminded me of that.
Yeah, guys. We'll be having a lot of those little squirrel moments
Yeah.
for you guys. But you were telling me that there's places where people are the most happy. What are those places, and can you describe like those? Pretty much describe those places and why I guess they're ranked for people to be the happiest.
So for example, the top 5, which the last one kind of threw me off because I was like, what the beep, it was the first one is Hawaii, which it's obvious, Then it's New Jersey, which I believe New Jersey is with New York. So
Yeah,
it's like
I
they're
haven't been
I
out there.
think they're like neighbors or something. I don't know. Nebraska, Illinois, and then New York. But Hawaii is continuously ranks obviously the highest because obviously we know why. It's a place where it seems very much more family oriented. The weather is a lot of sunshine. A lot of people, their winter is not very much like our winter. There's
Mhm.
much more like spring and summer, and that's kind of it. And it is known that obviously when you have, for example, Washington or anything like that, it's ranked to be the most high on suicidals because of the rain and how like cloudy it gets and all of that. So definitely, obviously, it has that. People say that life is a lot slower. It's not obviously. It's not like here where we're constantly obviously like go to work, come back, go to work, come back type of thing. And
Just moving so damn fast. Just everything's just boom, 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 boom.
do you know what Nevada ranks?
No, but I can definitely tell you it's not the top top 10 at least.
Yeah, it ranks the 37th state of how people find happiness here. Just life itself, it's just so fast, and that's exactly how we said in the beginning. The frequency here is just not family oriented, and it's kind of hard to find a person out here. If we were single, I think we would definitely be looking in other states for the love of our life. We probably would find each other like back in Colorado or something because it's not an environment to find someone that you want to build a life with because it's just so fast. The divorce rates are super high. People are literally breaking up left and right because your buddy told you to go smoke with him or told you to go drinking and now your girl is mad because you're not getting any better with your habits. And I feel like as much as there's so many bad things in Vegas, the Sin City, that's why they call it Sin City for a reason. It's just as a person, I think it's hard to ever be anything other than wanting to lower your vibration.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the name carries energy, right? Sin City. We always say sounds, frequencies, words all
Names,
carry,
numbers.
words. Now, once you start getting deeper into astrology and whatnot, but
Mhm.
numerology and astrology and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
There's a lot.
But definitely, words carry frequencies that can also change your vibration. That's the reason why they call it Sin City because there's just so much exposure, like right out your doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
You're driving somewhere, you have billboards of, strippers, alcohol, you know, day clubs, nightclubs, morning clubs,
Every 24-hour
24/7
clubs.
club.
Yeah. No.
So all that definitely just is the reason why I think Nevada's ranked like freaking
37.
well on the divorce rate is probably like
Uh,
60-70%.
probably like
Probably
number
more.
one.
Yeah.
Probably number one on the divorce rate
Yes.
because
And there's a lot of divorce attorneys out here too.
yeah, a lot of divorce attorneys, and I feel like everybody's just getting divorced every single day type of thing.
You think if any of that stuff wasn't here, Nevada would be like a much more peaceful place?
But when you say stuff, what stuff?
So like all the 24/7 clubs, all the alcohol, drugs, and whatnot. Strip clubs, I guess, advertised every day.
I don't think so, honestly, because Vegas is a desert in general. Like, what is there to do besides, like, besides the like they chose a great state to do what they're doing because honestly, we don't have spots. We hardly have spots where it's like, oh, let's go on a hike. They don't have hardly any water unless it rains or the snow is coming down from Mount Charleston. But other than that, like, what is there to do? They knew what they were doing when they built out here in
Yeah.
Nevada, you know? Not only that, but if in the other areas of Nevada, there is like rivers and the oceans, because obviously it starts getting closer to California and like Utah and stuff like that. But those are like 3, 5 hours away, 6 hours away. But honestly, it would just probably be like how back then, like the west of the West, you know, where it
Yeah.
was like, all right, let's go to the bar, you know.
Yeah, buddy, let's
Let's
go.
go, let's go. I got me some nice little girl out there. I'm gonna take her home, you know. So so I honestly, there's nothing to do here.
Yeah,
There's really
that's true.
nothing like besides obviously they have cool museums. They have the one thing about Vegas that I will not like take discredit from it is that they're very creative when it comes to like museums and
Entertainment.
yeah, very good in entertainment. I do say that, but we don't really see any of that because we don't have kids and I feel that even if we did have kids, it will get boring after a while, you know?
I mean, me in general, I've already like kind of experienced all the museums
Oh,
and
yeah?
whatnot that they had,
Yeah.
all the rides,
With who?
everything. Myself.
Yeah. I call bullshit. Myself.
Point
Anybody
is,
anybody that has dated him, a report. Give me a report. Nah, I'm just kidding. Don't give me a fucking report.
but nah, yeah, I've been to like all the rides in New York, pretty much all the shows and whatnot.
Mhm.
Literally, after like you watch them 2-3 times, you're kind of like,
You get
"Alright, what's
bored.
next?"
Yeah, it's because there's nothing. Like
Yeah.
there's
And a lot
nothing.
of stuff is like repetitive too. Like it's
Exactly.
repetitive. The same shows are repetitive.
Yeah. And it's not like we can go to Vancouver, like, you know, Washington, Vancouver in 10 minutes. Like, no, it's like fucking hours of drive.
If anybody out there has made a teleportation device, let us know. We'd like to teleport to Vancouver in 5 minutes.
And then maybe we can like interview you. I don't know. Let us know. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, um, do you believe that other states carry or activate any certain chakras in our body?
Do I believe certain states activate chakras in our body? I would believe so. Me that I've like traveled around, in the different states and whatnot. You could definitely feel like a shift in the energy. For instance, when we went to Sedona, like Sedona carries like more of a mixture of like a third eye, crown chakra, and maybe like a solar plexus. Yeah, like you definitely feel like those energies moving like when you go there. I guess if you're aware of them,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, if you're aware of those of your frequency, your energy, and how it shifts from place to place where you go, I think you would definitely like know what we're talking about as far as feeling them. Do you think certain states out there could
Yeah.
change the same frequencies for you?
Of course. I mean, like how you mentioned, Sedona is definitely one of them that has gave us a beautiful experience. And I hope people like today that you guys are tuning in, you guys awaken your mind to to the energies around you, because I do believe that every state does carry, some type of chakra. And maybe not every state, but they all carry. Sometimes maybe it could be between the middle, for example, we'll put a little diagram here where you guys can kind of see what we're saying. Um, there's in the United States in Mount Shasta, which is probably known to be the home of the Lemurians. If you guys don't know what those are specific, I guess, aliens you want to say, and they have a lot of alien activity, or UFO, UAPs, however you want to call them. That one is known to have the crown chakra. A lot of people say that it is a root chakra because it's the one that activates your creativity, but I think it activates maybe all of them, because some reports say crown chakra, some reports say root chakra, and to me that might just symbolize that it might just activate all of it, because you're able to connect from your crown chakra, which is the one that receives your messages, and then the root is the one that creates from those messages. So yeah, I mean, what about you? You have other states or ones that you think might carry that energy?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. There's definitely a lot more too. Um, like I said, I think it all comes down to how aware one is with their body, their energy, their frequency, their aura. I guess the state of mind of receiving, right? Like receiving, as far as receiving and perceiving. I guess you could say it that way. But definitely the third eye would probably be somewhere like in San Francisco, right? And it's known for cultural awakening, visionary innovation. For instance, the third eye is here is what helps you see a little beyond, especially if you know how to activate the third eye and use it properly. Definitely, the energy out there is more like intuition, vision, psychic awareness, insight, stuff like that. So, I mean, California has a lot of potential, but just
It's just
everything
so
that's
it's really sad though, because California really was gifted the opportunity to have all the elements, literally they have the ocean on their doorstep, they have the nicest breeze, and California has become such a material world that I feel, Mark, don't, just saying, okay, not trying to make anybody get offended. I feel that at the end, this is why it's going to go underwater, because it's kind of like the earth is kind of tired of what we've built in such a material, egoistic world, you know?
yeah, just all the just the views of the land, right? Like it has all the elements, and everything's just getting abused. There's a lot of wildfires, whether they're natural or man-made fires. It's just you're burning a lot of all that nature, the trees. The trees is what keeps the California grounded,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
And another one, as far as like throat chakra, that would be Asheville, Carolina. Asheville is a vortex for creative expression, healing arts and communication. That's what the throat does. Throat chakra, once it's unblocked, it helps for better communication, being able to speak your truth and whatnot. And honestly, there's this I can't remember if it was a documentary or something that I saw, but they were saying like the reason why also like people get addicted to smoking
Mm-hmm.
is because they were meant to have a voice, to speak their voice or something, like something in those like regions.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for them that they got addicted to smoking is so that the smoking kind of helps block that communication, that throat chakra. And I can attest to that. I used to be a person who would smoke a lot, like literally every day, and I did notice a big change in my throat chakra. Definitely once I stopped doing all that crap, and we're here now. A little raspy, but But yeah. But what about the heart chakra? Where do you think most of that healing comes from, or what state carries the heart chakra?
I believe it is based on our research is definitely Colorado. It could definitely be a reason why we also want to go out there, you know, and build a legacy out there, because to be able to receive things and to be able to become a better human, I really do think it starts with the heart, you know, and I do believe that if we activate the heart is what's going to activate pretty much the crown, third eye, and the throat, and then from there it goes the solar. What's the other one? Solar, sacral,
root
and then
chakra.
root chakra. And from the top is feminine, and then from the bottom is masculine. So I feel like that's the reason why I also felt really much in love with Colorado when I had went, is because you definitely do feel that it balances out the city life with the creative side and the wellness, which is known to obviously do that for the people, you know, create active communities and be a heart center of movements and the energy of love, compassion, and balance. So definitely I can see why I would be more attractive and why you would be more attractive to the heart chakra in general.
Yeah. Yeah, Colorado's nice. I love Colorado.
Yeah, vámonos mañana. Let's go. I'm tired.
All right, guys, wrapping up. We
All right,
going to
guys.
Colorado.
It was nice. No, just kidding. No, but definitely. And then obviously the next one will be Texas, which is kind of crazy, you know, because there's a lot of crime activity in Texas. And Texas would be known as the solar plexus, you know, being the one that is the independence. Like it's a reflection of the strong solar plexus energy and the willpower and the power and the self-esteem, which it could also be why there's a lot of crime out there, because when people are abusing that energy, then that power, we're gonna see what the opposite of what a good balanced sacral is gonna look like, you know. So a solar, sorry. So yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then since we've been to Sedona, Sedona's more of a like the sacral chakra.
Which you had said.
Yeah, which you had mentioned earlier. And, you know, definitely just even going out there, it can literally help with a lot of your emotions, relationships, helps with creative flow. And yeah, like literally when we came back from Sedona, like we had a huge shift.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. it had moved the whole energy. I mean, you know, the sacral chakra is one of the part of the creativity, and I feel after literally we came back from Sedona, I feel like this is when we started like really getting serious about the podcast and about things that we wanted to do and the things that we wanted to get done, and we got a lot of clarity out there, you know, and it was just such a beautiful experience that I want to go back. But we got to pioneer to a next state, so we'll see what messages we get out there.
Hawaii, here we come, you know.
Next year, we got a goal, and we hit that goal, we're going to Hawaii next year. So
stay tuned for that, guys.
Yep.
Definitely, the root chakra would be also considered down from like Southern California to New Mexico, and obviously the root chakras, you know, that energy is more of like the safety, the grounding, ancestry, you know, a lot of primal instincts. That's where we get kind of that energy and the thoughts from for those things. And, you know, honestly, this is why we love to travel, get out of the city, start, you know, we literally find a cabin somewhere. We're like, yo, let's go like today.
Yeah, no, like we found this cabin. We had found it in Mount Shasta. We found it in Mount Shasta, and it literally has a river in the back. And we're just like, so what's the move, you know, because it just definitely just, you know, those places. But obviously you guys, we might think that only here in the USA we have activation of the chakras, but there is some in other countries. But we won't take too much time of that one. There's just going to be, we're going to upload the image, and you guys can take a look at that, and you guys can look at the name. It's going to be color coded, and between all those colors you can kind of see what each part of the country does. And yeah, just so you guys obviously can kind of know that there is energy that's being moved as you travel.
Yeah, most definitely. And then yeah, guys, that's kind of our input and thoughts into kind of how every place that you go to or that you live in can change your spiritual energy, your soul's connection to whatever it is that your soul requires, whether it's nature, whether it's water, whether it's maybe all the four seasons, snow, any one of those things. Um, Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think that every state can carry an ego death
Yeah.
of the soul.
Cool, man.
But with that being said,
Yeah. Talking about the ego,
ending the ego.
guys. Fellas, but man to man.
Por favor,
you gotta-
edúcalos. Edúcalos. Educate these men.
Yes, you guys gotta start doing that inner healing, that child healing, that killing your ego, man. That especially here in Vegas, everywhere we go, man. Like ego is just that thing's like up here, man. I need you guys to find a little balance, and
Mhm.
a lot of women too, like it's become
Okay.
more like that in
Woman to woman. Woman to woman. Let me educate you guys. No, no, but for real, it's we are in very dark times in the world that I feel that we cannot afford to keep continuing with our ego and continuing chasing the wrong things. And if you want to say wrong things at the wrong time, and that could literally be thinking that you have to, and I feel like this is a lot for women, where they have to prove themselves because they live in a male environment, and the ego just grows and our masculine grows, and at the end of the day, I don't think we want that. We want to be taken care of, and we want to actually do things that we want to do and kill that ego. And by that is like honestly looking into yourself and seeing if you have, for example, daddy issues. We all knew that half of the women probably got raised without dad, or if they did, not the best dad. But it's just kind of forgiving those parts that you obviously couldn't experience, and just knowing that you can make a life so different from how you grew up. And the moment that you can realize that you can shift your life and your mentality is such a beautiful thing. But talking about that, we go into the egos.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about that. How you were saying, a lot of people also are starting to grow up, without the help of both of their parents, and how that can potentially boost the ego, right?
Right.
Because, for instance, like you were raised mostly by your mother, right?
Yes.
And that when I first met you, you thought you were Captain America. She was like, "I got this. I don't need a man." And now she's
Okay,
married.
I didn't need one. I didn't. But it was nice to have one. I truly do feel that anything that he does for me, I can probably do it. But then there's also times where I'm like, I don't fucking want to worry about changing my oil. Like, I don't want to worry about what if the guy at the fucking place that's changing my oil is trying to finesse me, and just like those little things where you're just kind of like, I really, as a woman, I really don't want to worry about those things. So, like I said, probably most of the things I know I can do it myself. And I know that I can be very independent and be like, I could do it myself. But also growing up the way I did, it was very much of why I was the way I was.
Yeah, and just speaking more on that, it was more of obviously like us getting together, getting to know each other more and more. It kind of like started bringing that ego down to a balance, right?
Right.
Because too much ego can cause you to think and do the wrong things, and obviously a very low ego, like low self-esteem type of thing, also can be damaging for your soul. And me, obviously, I grew up with both of my parents, but I kind of, I don't want to put
Yeah, you better not say the wrong thing because I'm gonna smack you right across your forehead.
you know,
You kind of wish that they probably weren't together. They
no,
probably would be happier.
no. I just think that they got together at a very young age where they didn't understand themselves and what it is that they liked, and it's it's a lot in Hispanic households, right? A lot of Hispanic household families, most of the time they just get together, have kids, and just kind of go on about their life. And like, for instance, it's a lot of masculinity, right? It's a lot of masculinity in a Spanish household, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that me unconsciously, I kind of like, I guess, was taking on those traits,
Okay.
right? And obviously, you've helped me kind of like realize those differences as well.
Yeah. Smack
Where
you a little bit, but
she abused me, guys.
lies, lies. I never have abused him, ever.
Somebody call 911.
Ya que en verdad le hablo, no quiero que le digas nada, ¿eh? No quiero que digas nada. No,
You see?
it's just the
But-
Latina in me, you know. It is.
But let's get a little deeper into ego, and how you can help balance out the ego. Maybe you're unaware of traits of the ego, right? And how why look at me like that?
Nothing.
¿Por qué me dan all of it?
Nothing.
But yeah, I guess for instance, one example of the ego versus a balance, more connected to yourself in a higher conscious level, I guess different frequency, right? The ego kind of always vibrates at a lower frequency. Once you start connecting with yourself internally, as far as raising your vibration, being in a more positive state of mind, those things can differentiate and change. For example, your ego would probably tell you something like, why am I not getting what I want?
Which is a victim mentality.
Yeah, which comes down to being in a victim mentality. Always like pointing the finger somewhere else, saying, oh, this because of this person, this happened, and because of this and that, there's a reason why my life's going this way. And then once you start shifting your mentality and raising your vibration, you start speaking to yourself in a much more different manner, which helps you continue to elevate. Such as, as I said, the ego would tell you, why am I not getting what I want? And your higher self, your higher conscious will tell you, I'm meant for more than what I can currently imagine. So it's that shift in mentality, right? That shifting like the negative to a positive.
Mhm.
That's the ego's always going to have something negative to say. And once you're conscious of those things and you change them, you start vibrating at a different level.
Right.
Right. And then another one would purely be like, this task is too hard for me to complete. Where, I've kind of seen that. I work around a lot of males, and nothing wrong with that. Everybody vibrates at their own, like, it is what it is. Like,
Mhm.
everybody's in their own journey. But, I've seen this a lot where they say stuff like that. It's like, this task is too hard for me. I can't do it.
Where they downgrade themselves.
Yeah, they believe that they can't do something, and I always like try to encourage them. I'm like, bro, like, you got this. Like, you can do it. It's really all just up here.
Yeah.
Most of the time, a lot of times we kind of downplay ourselves.
Yeah.
We downplay ourselves to believing that we can't do something, and then you end up doing it, right? Like, you probably, I don't know, people at the gym, right? They'll be like, oh, I'm a deadlift 200 pounds, and then someone's be like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, bro, hit that. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I smack you in the ass, you got it.
Yo sabía. I knew it. Fucking knew it. Guys, being my husband. He's into man.
Look, it's how us men hype each other up,
I
right?
know. It's a joke.
But
yeah. No, there's also, I mean, I think it's everything like just pointing the finger, right?
Mhm.
It's that ego about pointing the finger, downgrading yourself, telling yourself that you can't do it, that you want to give up, that you're being a failure, that why is that person happy? Why is that person getting everything they want and not me? And it's just kind of like shifting to kind of like when you see someone living a better life than you, it should really motivate you. It should really be like, if that person came from the same trenches as I did, or just came from the same environment, or our story is very similar, I could do it too, and that's when your mind and your mentality is shifting, when you're vibrating higher and realizing that it's not because they're lucky, it's because they believe so hard in themselves that they could do better. And that's the type of mentality that you should go and learn from. If you feel like you're not getting ahead of the game and you're just failing after failing, it's just like, hey, you know what? This was a mistake. Let me try this next, and trying to really adjust and really see what works for you. Because whatever works for him might not work for me, but whatever works for me might work for him. Like, you just never know. And at the end of the day is like, for example, we started this podcast, and for us, it could be really easier to be like, it's too hard. We're not getting as much views as we want to. Like, we're not reaching the people we want to. But then there's also like, hey, I'm not going to give up. Like, let's keep going. Let's keep making episodes. And, like, for example, we went on a kind of like a networking event yesterday. It was like spiritual fair here in Nevada. And we met some really cool people, which we hope to have them on the podcast soon. And, and we met them and we were like, hey, if you guys ever want to, like, let's do. And that's how you're also vibrating at the same frequency, when you just like naturally connect with someone and really see like, oh, like, we're definitely vibing. We're definitely like, this is cool, and it's just like becoming the best version of yourself. And that doesn't mean to downgrade yourself.
Yeah. And I like how you said also believe, right? I think that's a big thing that, especially like in a household, like we aren't really like taught to believe in ourselves. Like I can,
at least for your household.
Yeah, like I can assure you, like in my household, like nobody was ever like, oh, you can do this, you can do that, like believe in yourself type of thing, Like my parents didn't even talk about the Bible. Like they could have at least told me, believe in Jesus, and then
you're like, you're right.
I'm like, you're right,
Yeah. Jesus got me.
Yeah, and then afterwards, I kind of like started, I guess getting more into the understanding of religion and different things. And, once I got into that, like it started shifting, like everything started shifting, right? You start noticing different things and, what works for you and what doesn't work for you type of thing.
100%.
And definitely, I know a lot of people and who in their household kind of grew up that way too, where they weren't given any positive feedback. They weren't, told they can do anything they want. They're good enough, and
they just grow up with those.
Yeah, and they
like,
grow up with those beliefs, and they get to 30, 40, 50 years old, and they still believe those things, and
or they're barely trying to like figure out. And they're like, oh, so that's literally not how life works. Like,
yeah.
Like literally we were just talking about this. We were like, dude, like I'm close to 30. He's 30 already, but está viejo, mi amigo, está viejo.
30 and thriving, baby boy.
30, flirty, 30 and thriving. No, and I was talking to him and I was just kind of like, I'm 27. My mom was, I think, pregnant with my little sister at my age, and she already had all three of us. And I remember I used to look at her and I'd be like, wow, she has it all figured out. We have a house. My mom, like, she always cooks for us. She might be going through her own stuff, but I really thought we all had it figured out. And now I'm about to hit 30 and I'm like, damn, really don't got it figured out, and that goes with a lot, because a lot of people are still stuck in those beliefs where it's like, especially after, I feel that after you find a person, or you find your person, or you find your tribe, however, your soulmates, your twin flame, and I feel that if you don't challenge, exactly. Like if you don't challenge each other and you guys are not adding those thoughts where it's like, where me and him have obviously, like, we're not perfect, and we definitely have gone into our like modes where it's like, hey, we can no longer think like this. We really have to fucking do something about this, the way our system, our brain is working. Because if we don't change it now, just imagine when we're like 50, we're barely gonna be figuring this out, and then we're probably gonna be living a life we never wanted to live. So it's also about learning that ego is not being applauded to as well, because I feel like a lot of people in their 30s going to 40s and 50s, they want to still be applauded, and there's nothing wrong with that, and they want recognition, but then that just leads them to fake friendships and fake relationships that are not going to be worth it and not going to grow with you, because you want to be applauded for what? Like, applaud for yourself. Know that you're the one making that change and you're doing better for yourself, So it's just, yeah, run out of breath. But yeah, my point is, the ego can be a very scary, dark, deep shithole full of shadows that we need to face.
Yeah, especially if you just continue living in that and never realize like the things that you're doing, being aware of like, yo, this is bringing me more harm than peace.
Yeah.
And like, trust me, I've met so many people where they're just always living for that excitement of something needs to happen, right? Like, I met this one guy one time, and he was like, yeah, dude, everything's good right now, but I'm just waiting for that one thing to happen. I'm just like, well, why would you wait for that? Like everything's going good. Shouldn't you be like, oh, I can't wait for more good to happen, right?
Yeah.
And he was just like, nah, like, I just know something's gonna happen, da da da. Now you start saying those things, and now you start attracting those things, and then eventually, that thing that you speak happens, right? Because words have
power.
Words have power, and the things that comes out of our mouth also can be like those things that we attract.
Yeah.
Like if you say, oh, tomorrow's gonna be a shitty day or whatever, while you're already setting your mind to be like, tomorrow's gonna be a shitty day.
Yeah. Or that frequency.
Yeah, you're putting yourself on that frequency, on that level. Or you can be like, you know what? Today was all right, but tomorrow's gonna be the greatest day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're changing your mindset and your frequency to like, good things always happen, right?
Yeah.
Good things are gonna happen to me tomorrow. And I think it's just about being on that frequency. Obviously, we can't really know what'll happen because, anything can happen at any second. But I think it's if you put yourself in that positive state of mind, when something that, I guess, shifts that perspective, you can be like, well, it is what it is. You can brush it off much more easier than being a person who's just always stuck in that negativity mindset.
Yeah, for example, when it was, for me, I was very much like that, where it was like, I'm just waiting for some shit to pop off. Like, no, for real, because we lived, like, my whole family, we all lived in a very, very intense household, a very, very intense household. And when things were going great, it was just too good to be this great, and we were just waiting for something to happen. And so the older I got, and obviously we started creating a life together, when I had met him, it was very similar, like, I felt like it was too good to be true. Like, I was like, this guy understands me, this guy, I could talk to him about the weirdest shit, and we kind of like ramble all night. Like, it feels too good, it feels too safe. Like, I'm just waiting for him to be completely different and like just scare me away. And it was just boy, it was just like those, those moments of fear. And I feel like when you are just waiting for something to happen is because you're afraid that it's never going to be long lasting either. And fear is also a very low vibration of frequency as well. So
yeah. Well, let's get into the ego, and explain that a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, just a little bit more, because they kind of already have a context of what ego can be. But
the ego can be explained in many different ways. Obviously, there's a 3-part to the ego, which a lot of us didn't know.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know. I personally didn't. I was like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah, there's three different levels, I guess, to the ego. Which one would be like the ID, which is like the primal, the instinct part of the mind that seeks, immediate pleasure and gratification. for examples like hunger, aggression, sexual desires and whatnot. You also got the super ego and then the ego, which we'll get obviously more in depth in. But let's start off with the ID, identifying that part of the ego. Some examples of what the idea of the ego would be something like overeating or binge eating, impulsive shopping, losing control of the anger, seeking instant gratification. Sometimes like procrastination could be one as well. Engaging in addicting behaviors, impulsive sexual behavior, or just ignoring a lot of your responsibilities. And
I feel that obviously the first ego the first sorry guys, my dog likes to play when we're recording, but I feel like that's probably the first ego we always meet as we become adolescents, like I feel that a lot of the guys that I met, especially like middle school, they were all very much addicted to like
What guys you
sexual. Okay, first of all,
you only meet me.
shut up. What's it called? But mostly, when it comes to obviously the first ego, I feel like a lot of the guys in middle school from high school are dealing with that ego. It's like, hey, bro, how many girls did you late today? Like, oh, what's your body count? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, okay, buddy, it's not that serious. But it's like the first ones, like.
Yeah.
You start experimenting with the changes of your body. You start getting, I think those are what builds your habits between those. It's like getting addicted to sex and getting addicted to these non-long lasting emotions and feelings, especially when it comes to, how you're growing up and stuff. So,
Yeah. Not only that, but how you say it comes down to identifying those things, right? And the only way that you can, I guess, identify the ID part of that ego within yourself, would be to, pay attention to your impulses, what urges you to arise, your hunger, the angriness, the loneliness or tiredness. Those things are part of the first part of the ego, which is the ID. Another thing would be noticing your emotional reactions, right? How do you react first and think later, or are you a person who thinks first and then reacts? Oftentimes, we've met so many people who react first out of emotion before thinking, right? And we've been, what do you say? How do you say it? We've been victims to those things, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we just have so much bottled in that ticking bomb just goes off.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's just like I said, I feel like the first ego you're presented to is the coming of age ego, where you're getting to know yourself, and most of your parents don't talk about these things. They don't tell you, hey, you're gonna start going through changes. Your body's gonna crave wanting to have sex. Your body is gonna crave to want to experiment with whatever you're feeling, and just kind of like, hey, you're gonna start outbursting because you're gonna get your period, and you're gonna have all these like fucking emotions that you don't even understand why you're feeling that way. You're gonna start crying because I don't know that someone ate your ice cream. Like, nobody tells you these things. Nobody. And I feel like this is the first ego we meet when we're kids. It's literally just not just learning what is good for us and when enough is enough. And I feel like that those time of our coming of age, which would be what, 13, 12, 13.
I guess when you get into this teenage
teenage phase,
years.
Where you're just starting to really not know what's going on, and you're either starting to binge watch a lot of stuff, and I feel like a lot of the way your future looks now is really dictated by a lot of your teenage years. A lot of your teenage years, a lot of people till this day are very much addicted to porn and all of that. And then there's also a lot of people that are obviously not emotionally intelligent, because now they're barely learning that, hey, if you want a good relationship, you're gonna have to be emotionally intelligent.
Find a balance, really. Like when we first got together, I was kind of like that because like there's no emotion in my household. There was no in my
The things this man put me through. Okay, first of all, it's not even that bad, but it
Stop the
was.
cap.
No, it was tough though, because it was really tough for him to understand emotion. Really, you know. Why are you laughing? You're laughing at my misery? Nah.
But no, like in my household, there was no crying. There was no,
Oh no, there's a lot of crying in my family.
yeah, like my household was like straight, man household. There's no crying around here.
That's crazy.
What the man does is what the woman should listen to. Like this is just how we grew up. So, I mean, I always had this keen idea of like a lot of these things don't make sense, right? A lot of these things don't make sense to me. Like it makes no sense why. Like to me, it was always there should be a balance.
Damn. Sorry, guys.
And then but yeah, it was just always about finding that, noticing those things, and how you can change them yourself, right? Because obviously, you also don't. I guess for me personally, I was like I didn't want to follow those same footsteps.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be different. I always wanted to live a peaceful life.
Yeah.
Like,
and I feel like you kind of felt like you probably, once again, you felt like maybe you couldn't get that because you didn't grow up that way. You
Yeah.
probably felt like you would never find a woman that would understand or teach you these things because to you taught yourself everything. So when you found me.
all right.
No, for real, and like when we found each other, it was just kind of like, I helped you in some areas, you helped me in some areas, and
That yin and yang.
yeah, definitely, because I feel that we both felt understood, and we felt that, okay, like if my partner believes in these areas of myself, why can I believe in myself?
Yeah.
And then that kind of just like boosts your motivation to really want to change, and be
Mhm.
better as a person, as a husband, as eventually a parent, and let go of that part of the ego, that you don't deserve more, or that you're
Yeah.
gonna fail, and that's it, like that's like, just because you fail once, that's it, that you're not gonna try no more. But then there's also there where like, yeah, you're not gonna fail, but you need to fail to be able to know what's your next step, and people are not okay with failure.
Yeah.
And I feel that sometimes that's how you probably felt, where you were just like, for what? I already tried it, it didn't work out,
Mhm.
and it was more like, okay, yeah, but now try this, so it was just kind of like where we kind of like gave each other that, getting rid of that part of the ego.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely that, and other ways to identify them is also tracking your impulsive decisions. For instance, are you acting without thinking for a long time? Like oftentimes, we kind of, I guess, stuck in this, I don't know, what do you want to call it? I guess this state of mind where we just, oh, I'm tired of thinking, and you stop thinking, and then now you're making irrational decisions, right? Another thing would be like observing what you avoid. Oftentimes, like the ID part of the ego is it often seeks pleasure over discipline, and the things that you neglect, that's gonna help you to learn. Like you gotta observe those things. You can't avoid them forever because eventually they're gonna, like how they say, they're gonna sneak up on you. They're gonna creep up on you, and you're gonna be living your life trying to avoid these things, and now you want to avoid these things and substitute them with something else, right?
Yeah.
Numbing yourself with whether it's alcohol, drugs, sexual tendencies, whatever the case.
Yeah, like for example, when my mom got deported 7-8 years ago, with the first deportations that happened out here, um I think that's something that you helped me with, was kind of the impulsiveness, and kind of like seeing from a third view and being like, hey, you don't need to be impulsive, because I lived in an environment where I did need to be impulsive, where I felt like if I didn't think fast, and maybe not even think right, but just think fast enough to get ahead of someone, it would take me to a better route. It would eventually reap whatever I was reaping, because I don't know what I was reaping, but I was just making sure I could survive in my environment. And I feel like that's something that you really did teach me, where it was just kind of like, hey, you can kind of slow down now. You can kind of think now,
Think
you know,
about it.
like you can now like how we had a conversation um when we're doing like our shroom healing, you know, where it was just kind of like, what the fuck are we running from now? Like we're not running anymore. Like we can finally just kind of like step back from that ego and be like, hey, let's be fucking rational, you know? Like let's really, really go and do what we need to do. Like we don't no longer have to like think fast and think quick because we live in a environment where someone is gonna hurt us, or we're just trying to survive and we're not making good money, and like, you know, and unfortunately that's not it no more, you know. And it's kind of like, that's why when we say like psychedelics is the ego death, that's exactly an example of an
Yeah.
ego death, you know, where we're like, that definitely hasn't worked for us in the last 26, 27 years.
Mhm.
So why are we even doing that, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. And, you know, one part of, or I guess a movie that can describe that ID, which I think most of us have seen, especially us growing up.
A
One of them,
show.
yeah, a show
show.
or movie. I
It's
think
a show.
they made both.
They have?
But you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Obviously, the show gets it more depth, obviously, than the movies, because the movies they like to cut out a lot of the scenes, kind of get to the action type of thing. But if you've ever seen the series of Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know, Aang's spiritual journey is always it's about letting go of control, attachments, and learning to balance himself for a higher conscious, for greater power. Because, like everything, right? If you start a fire and that fire gets out of control, now you can't control it because now it's spreading super quick. And then,
It was good. Like that's how the only way that he's gonna learn how to be that last airbender is literally letting go of control,
mhm,
because you know he felt like he had to control everything, because once again he had a huge responsibility. He was the last airbender, but then it goes a point where it's just like, hey buddy, you don't got to keep running for what, you don't got to keep trying to control everything for what, you know. So yeah.
yeah, and you know that's the first part of the ego, the ID part, and then you know moving on to the other ones, which you know the ID inherently isn't a bad thing. It's just unchecked raw energy. The ego, you know, it's the more of the rational decision maker part of that 3-step ego system. And then you have the super ego, which is like the moral compass, which, you know, once you learn to help balance those things through like meditation, self discipline, self reflection, like a lot of us don't also spend a lot of time reflecting on either things that we say or things that we do, which, you know, leads back to the ID part where you're just avoiding a lot of these things. And honestly, just being mindful can really help regulate all those things, your impulses, so that you can just make better intentional choices for yourself and your spirit, honestly. And then the superego, for instance, which would be like the moral and the ethical component that internalizes and, you know, kind of like creates creates or parents the values, you know, the acting as a kind of acts of a conscious in a way. And some of those examples of the superego is pretty much what keeps other areas where we unbalance, where we keep the unbalance in check, right? An example is like resting and temptation. You know, choosing a healthy meal instead of like fast food because it's, you know, it's just better for your body in general. And uh, we had a Spanish episode, or we had a guest that we talked to, our friend Cuba, and you know he's a nutritionist who's also told us like, yeah, they're like, you know, the rise of fast food is growing, and but fast food isn't really good for you because of all the chemicals and all of the just
Not only that, but it also fucks up with your sexual desire and
hmm
your just your body in general, you know, and producing things that we want to produce for a long term. It's not going to help us, you know. Or
yeah
like for example, if you have kids and you think that eating fast food every day with your kid is going to make you live longer, you're probably not even going to make it past another 20 years, you know, because
mhm.
our body is our temple and we are required to take care of it.
Yeah, this is why I believe doctors say now that the lifespan of a human is like 55 years of age or something. Like if you look in the Bible, people live like
Dang.
over 100 years old, you know. But scientifically, doctors are now saying that the average life of a man or person is like 55, and
That's
that's just
insane.
because the rise of so much fast food.
Not only that, but then that's like really sad because it's like to retire
Yeah, and
is
just
70. So literally, they just raised it. It used to be 50. Now, for you to retire, you have to be 70, 75 for our generation coming up. And I'm like, so you just want us to die working, pretty much. Yeah, literally. And that's really sad. I don't think
Yeah.
we should really live like that.
Yep. And some other examples of the superego would be like feeling guilty after breaking rules, right? Regretting an impulsive purchase, overeating, or just lying to someone in general. Like those are part of the parts of the superego that.
Yeah, just being conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get like the super ego kicks in when you're not when you need to be conscious. When you need to be conscious of the decisions you made, and that's where the reflection comes in of the superego.
Yeah. Yep. Another thing would be like strict self disciplines, right? Donating to charity, following society norms, suppressing desires for morality, judging others based on morality. A lot of that are examples of how the superego and how you can learn to be aware when you're using that superego. Judging others, overworking due to a sense of duty. Avoiding fun for responsibilities. Religion or spiritual devotions can also be one of those. And yeah, I mean that's kind of like one
Just
of
too
the
much of everything.
yeah.
Just
So
doing too much of everything. I feel that they've always said when you do something too much, eventually the body gets tired of that. And we have to really get to a point where we have to balance.
yeah,
We have to really balance it because just imagine you can't do too much of everything. You eventually will get tired of it, no matter what.
Yeah, it's like everything, right? You're just going, and one day you just drop, and you're like, what the heck happened?
Like
Just
how I told
avoiding
you.
everything.
Like, what are you doing? What are we
Yeah.
running from? It's,
Yeah, guys. And then if you want to identify the superego, for that part of the 3-step ego system, to identify the superego would be like noticing when you feel guilty, right? Guilt is a strong sign of the superego intervening in your life. Another one would be, observing self-criticism. Are you harsh on yourself for not like meeting a high standard or whatnot, right? Like how we spoke about earlier, where your ego will tell you this, but then, once you become conscious and aware and start balancing yourself and start raising your frequency, you start changing those different ways in how you speak to yourself, right? It's not always like David Goggins, stay hard, talk shit to yourself and be like, stay hard. That, yeah.
it can only get you so far.
Yeah, it can only
Yeah.
like push you to a certain extent. Like it's like they
Yeah.
say, motivation can only take you so far, but discipline is what's gonna get you past all of that.
Yep.
And you mentioned to me there's a movie that relates to the superego.
Yeah. We both watched the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be obviously Soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's really realizing the meaning isn't about status or achievement, and an ego dissolves in presence. So, for example, what that means is if you have watched Soul the movie, it pretty much breaks down how this guy he wanted to be employed and wanted to he thought that his main purpose in life was just to do what everybody else told him to do, and that's not what he wanted. He just wanted to be a musician. He wanted to play his instrument, and he just wanted to like get lost in the music, and but he went living years of his life thinking that if he did certain things that would make other people happy, that would give him that validation. and which at the end obviously it didn't. He felt very lost, and then he passes away and he sees his whole life flash behind besides his eyes, and he's kind of like, damn,
Should have done something different.
I didn't do anything I loved.
Yeah.
I honestly just did it because that person told me it would have been good for myself, but I never did what that inner voice told me to do. Like, I never went for my dreams. I never, yeah, no, like, I never did any of that. And obviously he was able to get another opportunity to return back to earth. And he realized that the main reason that we all get lost in the ego and the achievement is because we're not present,
Yeah.
and we're always thinking ahead on the future but never in the present.
Yeah, and just different ways in how you could balance the superego would be like, while the superego helps maintain order and morality, and you know, when you overactivate the superego, it can lead to guilt, anxiety, fear, excessive self-restraint, and just you gotta be able to identify those two, because the ego then meditates in between the ID, which is a desire, and then the superego, which is the morals, and you gotta learn to create the balance in between those three. Obviously the ego, which is going to be the rational part, which mediates between the ID's desire and the superego's moral constraints. And yeah, man, like there's just those three parts to that. This was the second part, which is the superego, and
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta learn to self-identify those things. Build up your self-esteem, cognitive functions, such and such as that. Yeah, and then the other part, which we're gonna get down to, which is the last part, is the ego, which they kind of some of them kind of have like the same.
we kind of already kind of explained.
Well, we
kinda.
spent the ID, the superego, and this is
superego.
the third part, which is the ego.
Ego.
Yep, and then the ego, which will be choosing a balanced meal, saving or spending wisely, compromising in arguments, time management, delaying gratification, handling stress maturely, balancing your social life and solitude, negotiating in business or relationships. A lot of ego plays part in that, which is also the reason why a lot of
Yeah.
divorce rates happen, because of those things, or why a lot of relationships don't work because of those things. And just
It's just finding the
practicing.
balance in the ego,
Mhm.
balancing all your egos, because there's, like how he explained, there's more to one ego, and when you don't identify them and you don't do that, it kind of just, you're living day by day and you're kind of not realizing the type of life you're building for yourself.
Yeah. Yep. And then to identify the ego, it would be like noticing when you make compromises, right? Are you balancing pleasure and responsibility? When you want to observe, when you delay gratification, do you make decisions with future consequences in mind? It's like a lot of those little things, right? You got to pay attention to the conflict and resolution. Do you find practical, fair solutions instead of acting in impulse or guilt? You got to track your emotional regulation. Do you express emotions in a way that's healthy or constructive, right? You can either build a happy relationship, a healthy relationship, or you can, build a relationship that's just always going to be based off of anxiety, fear, and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the last thing would be, to access your self control. Are you avoiding extreme indulgence or strict self denial?
Yeah.
Which I believe that's like a lot of majority of the part of the ego.
Mm-hmm.
And another movie that can help with
Understanding
that part would be Lucy. I mean, it's an older movie. I think it came out like maybe I don't know, 2020 something,
2009,
somewhere around
somewhere
there.
in there. Mm-hmm.
But the movie Lucy, she's transcends from her human limits and identify as she continues to evolve every time, right? Because every time she's growing a percentage, she's learning and evolving beyond the ego, and then she just then becomes more of a universal consciousness, which she starts to understand and learns how to maneuver those things in a much more, I guess you could say, like a higher frequency or a higher state of mind,
Yeah.
right?
Just acts as like you said, like non-limiting beliefs anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of just being open to that, being
Mhm.
more open to what we think the brain can the capacity of the brain can bring to us.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Guys,
I think you guys got enough information. Now let me go to sleep because I am
Ain't no
tired.
sleeping around here.
Yeah. No. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We try our hardest to do our research. We're still learning as we go. You know, we're not perfect at the podcasting world yet, but eventually we hope this will be your guys' next favorite spiritual everything podcast where you guys come here and you guys feel like you guys are part of our relationship, our friendship as a couple,
Our tribe.
our tribe, and feel like we're all friends, you know, and we hope that eventually we can build more than just a podcast, but a community that, and eventually, hopefully, one day we can hire a whole directing team and be able to just elevate and keep elevating with the podcast as we're elevating the humanity consciousness.
Yep. She pretty much stole all the words out of my mouth.
Like I always do.
Oh.
Shit, welcome. No.
But, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We hope it was very informative. We hope we were able to give you guys that guidance in, the changes of environments and the changes in ego and how they can, in changing those things, how they can help elevate yourself, help give you guys that guidance and what you need to change and how you can change for the better, right? Obviously nobody wants to change for the worse. We always want to strive to be better individuals, and we hope we were able to give you guys that information.
Well,
Anything
thank you
else wanna
guys.
add?
Go follow us on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We still have 84% people that are not being subscribed and are watching our videos. All you returning, please share, comment. This is only going to allow us to be able to stream into higher knowledgeable people. And we hope, we're able to start eventually in the few coming years, start interviewing people that you guys would love to hear from. And, we love to interview each other and we love to talk and we love to research, but there's also, we hope to bring also more to the table. And with you guys letting us being known out into your world and into other people's world, that will only open up the opportunity to eventually get that one interviewee that we would love to ask questions about, go deeper into the brain, and kind of go into the unsolved mysteries of the world. And yeah, check us out, Awaken the Minds .podcast, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Yep. Next episode, stay tuned. Wait for this drop. Wait for the next drop. Thank you guys for tuning in, helping us with the algorithm. With just a like, a share. Share this to a family member, friend, whoever you think this informative episode can help in a way, right? Like I said, like how my wife said, we're always looking to enhance the human consciousness and bring more peace and love into everybody's hearts. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in, for staying to the end of the podcast. We love you guys. We send you guys nothing but love, peace, protection, prosperity. And thank you for tuning in.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.
So let's awaken the minds together.